Advaitam Savadhutam Bhaktinasaitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Radha Krishna Padan Sargan Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Putale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharni Nirvisheshi Shunyati Bhashyate Deshatarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Vedanta Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare सर्वशास्त्रार्थी पीयूष सर्ववेद सत्फल सर्वसिद्धांत सर्वलोक प्रदा सर्वभागवत प्राण श्रीमद भागवत भो कलिध्वांतोदितादित्य श्री कृष्ण परिवर्तित परमानंद पाठाय प्रेम वर्षक्षराय सर्वदा सर्वसेव्या श्री कृष्णाय नमोस्तुते अदेक बंधो मत संगे मत गुरो मम हाथन मन तारक मत भाग्य मत आनंद नमोस्तुते साधु साधुतादायिं अतिनीचोच्चताकर मानमुंचकदाचिन्मां प्रेम्णा कृष्णठयोपुरा ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय commentary is there but एते देवा इत्यादिना तासां स्वशक्तीनाम् इत्यादि अन्तेन ग्रन्थेन विष्णोः कला विभूतयः काल आदयः लिङ्गं च शरीरं सहायत्वेन विद्यन्ते येषां ते okay. So these controlling deities of the physical elements, they are empowered expansions of Lord Vishnu. Okay, resume from here. The conception of various controlling demigods who inhabit the higher planetary systems for the management of universal affairs is not imaginary, as proposed by persons with a poor fund of knowledge. The demigods are expanded parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord Vishnu, and they are embodied by time, the external energy, and partial consciousness of the Supreme. Human beings, animals, birds, etc., are also parts and parcels of the Lord and have different material bodies, but they are not the controlling deities of material affairs. They are rather controlled by such demigods. Such control is not superfluous. It is as necessary as the controlling departments in the affairs of a modern state. The demigod should not be despised by the controlled living beings. They are all great devotees of the Lord entrusted to execute certain functions of universal affairs. This is highlighted by Madhvacharya in his writings. One may be angry with Yamaraj for his thankless task of punishing sinful souls, but Yamaraj is one of the authorized devotees of the Lord, and so are all the other demigods. A devotee of the Lord is never controlled by such deputed demigods who function as assistants of the Lord, but he shows them all respects on account of the responsible positions to which they have been appointed by the Lord. Here, a devotee means pure devotee. At the same time, a devotee of the Lord does not foolishly mistake them to be the Supreme Lord. Only foolish persons accept the demigods as being on the same level as Vishnu. Actually, they are all appointed as servants of Vishnu. Anyone who places the Lord and the demigods on the same level is called a Pashandi or atheist. The demigods are worshipped by persons who are more or less adherents of the processes of jnana, yoga, and karma, etc. The impersonalists, meditators, and fruitive workers. The devotees, however, worship only the Supreme Lord Vishnu. This itself indicates that the devotees here in this context refers to pure devotees of Lord Vishnu. This worship is not for any material benefit, as desired by all the materialists, even up to the salvationists, mystics, and fruitive workers. Devotees worship the Supreme Lord to attain unalloyed devotion to the Lord. The Lord, however, is not worshipped by others who have no program for attaining love of God, which is the essential aim of human life. Persons averse to a loving relationship with the Lord are more or less condemned by their own actions. The Lord is equal to every living entity, just like the flowing Ganges. The Ganges water is meant for the purification of everyone. Yet the trees on the banks of the Ganges have different values. A mango tree on the bank of the Ganges drinks the water, and the nimba tree also drinks the same water. but the fruits of these trees are different. I think all of this is coming from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Why they didn't type this up? Wait, let me think what to do. Let me just open up. First of all, let me check whether Bhavata Deepika is there or not. Bhavata Deepika. Just 1 to 9. Three point 4, 3.5, 3.5, 25, 27, 28, 30, 51, 52, 53, 26, 57. Deva Mahadadyabhimaninaha Vishnu Kala Amshaha Kalalingam Vikriti. Wait, let me do one thing. Let me put it here. Just like this. Kalalingam Vikriti. Kalamayamshalinginaha. Kalamayamshalinginaha. Embodied by time, external energy. They're embodied by eternal time under the external energy, and there is parts and parcels. Maya lingam vikshepaha. Amshalingam chetana. Tani vidyante yeshu. So they had consciousness, and the indication of Maya is vikshepa, throwing potential. अतः समत्वेन नानात्वात् परस्पर असंबंधात् स्वक्रियायां ब्रह्मांड रचनायां अनीशा शक्ता सन्तः विभुं परमेश्वरं प्रोचुः. So because they were all equal, they were not related to each other, they were incapable of constructing the Brahmanda, which was their duty. And therefore they prayed to the Almighty Supreme Lord. Okay, Kramasundara we saw that's in there. But Vishwanath Chakravarti, wait. 3. Okay, 3, 3.3, 3.4, 3.5, 38, 56, 57. Oh, what is this? Here, Kalamayamshalingam, Kalalingam Vikritihi Mayalingam Vikshepa, Amshalingam Chetana, Tani Vidyante Yeshu Tatha Bhutaha, Vishnoh Kalaha Amshaha, Ete Devaha, Mahadatyabhimanyaha Devaha, Samattvin Nanatvat, Paraspara Asambandhat, Swakriya, Swakriyanishaha, Swasya Kriyayam Brahmanda Rachanayam Anisha, Ashakta Santaha, Pranjaleha, Kritanjali Putaha Santaha. They folded their hands and they prayed to Vibhum Parameshwaram Prochuhu Uttantaha. Oh, so much of commentary. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. wait, let me not in ननु एते महद अहंकार आदयः एव स्वैः गुणैः बद्ध्वा स्वर्ग नरक आदिषु मुहुः क्षिपन्तः जीवान् संसारयन्ति तदमी निर्हेतुद्रोहिणः सर्वथा विध्वंसनीया एव इति मा एवं वादीः. Okay, one may say is this Mahat Tattva, Ahankara, and all of these elements, meaning the presiding deities of these elements, by their own natures, they are the ones who bind the conditioned souls and repeatedly throw the jivas from Swarga to Naraka and so on, repeatedly. And they cause them to uh, go through the cycle of birth and death, samsara. So they are simply unreasonable traitors. They should be destroyed only. Don't think like this. एते निर्हेतु उपकारिणः प्रत्युत अर्हणीया एव. They are actually selflessly engaging in everyone's welfare. Moreover, they are meant to be worshipped only. तथा हि मोक्ष साधनानि ज्ञान योग निष्काम कर्माणि एतैर्विना न सिद्ध्यन्ति. Without these elements, the means for liberation, which are the pathway of jnana, the pathway of yoga, and the pathway of nishkama karma, they cannot be executed. तथा प्रेम साधनानि श्रवण कीर्तन स्मरण दास्य सख्य आदीनि अपि भगवत कृपा उपरंजितैः एभिः एव सिद्ध्यन्ति. And the means for prema, for attaining prema bhakti, shravanam, kirtanam, smaranam, dasyam, sakyam, and so on, they can also be they also attain, bring about success only by these elements which are colored, which are filled with, imbued with the mercy of Bhagavan. Kimcha, moreover, paradara, paradravya, अपहरणे गो ब्राह्मण द्रोह आदि विविध पातकानि नरक साधनानि एतैः एव सिद्ध्यन्ति इति न एते दूषणीयाः. Moreover, the processes, the activities which lead one to naraka, hell, which are the different forms of degrading activities, which are the different forms of degrading activities, uh, such as abducting someone else's wife, someone else's property, harming cows and brahmanas and so on. That is also accomplished only by these very same elements. Therefore, one should not find fault in them. Bhagirathya jalam sajjananam snanapanadibhihi paramapavanam amritam eva kulastheshu trina gulma adishu dhanya godhumadishu parasa amra पनस आम्र द्राक्ष आकरकादिषु प्रविष्टं सर्वविध जनानां परम उपकारकं परम सुखदमपि विषवृक्षेषु प्रविष्टं तेषामेव साक्षान् मारकम् इति भागीरथी जलस्य न दोषः. Just as Bhagirathi, it is like nectar because it brings about supreme purification for saint, gentle persons by bathing in Bhagirathi. And the water of Bhagirathi, it helps once it enters into the grass, the shrubs, the grains like rice, wheat, and so on, all on its banks. It enters into various tasty fruits such as the panasa, amra, draksha, and so on. Uh, it only brings about good for all kinds of living creatures. And it brings about great happiness. Despite that, when it enters into poisonous trees, for those very same creatures, the water of Bhagirathi is the direct cause of their death. This is not the fault of the water of the Bhagirathi. Kintu tattat kupatrasyaiva yatha. It is simply because of the bad recipient of that water. तथा तान अहम दुषितः क्रूरान संसारेषु नराधवान क्षिपामि अजस्रम अशुभान आसुरीष्वेव योनिषु इत्यादि भगवद उक्ति अनुसारेण तेषु तेषु जीवेषु स्थितानाम येषाम अधिकृत भक्तानाम को दोषः. So just as Lord Krishna himself, he says, those asuric souls who are hateful of him and everyone else, cruel ones, the worst of mankind, Krishna says he throws them into the cycle of birth and rebirth again and again, eternally. So, like that, uh, because there are evil jivas, then what is the fault of the appointed devotees, adhikrita bhaktas, the official, the devotees who are appointed to official universal managerial tasks? What is their fault? Into teshameva iti vastutah tu ete paramavaishnavaha eva iti etat कृपया स्तुत्या अभिव्यञ्जयितुमाह. In reality, however, they are supreme Vaishnavas. Um, in order to reveal that through their prayers, this portion is now presented. एते देवा महदाद्यभिमानिनः विष्णोः कलाः मायाशक्तिवृत्तित्वात्. They are portions of Lord Vishnu because they are extensions of the potency of Maya. Kalalingam, Vikriti, Maya Lingam, Viveka, Harsha, Shokadi, Amshalingam, Chetana, Tani, Vidyante, Yesham, Te. अतः समत्वेन नानात्वात् परस्पर असंबंधात् असंबंधत्वात् स्वक्रियायां ब्रह्मांड रचनायां मनीषा समर्था प्रोचुः तुष्टुः इति तत्त्वानामेषां सहसा एव सर्वेन्द्रियवत् तनुमत्वम् अतर्क्यया भगवच्छक्त्या एव इति. It is by the Supreme Lord's inconceivable potency that they have all the senses and they are also able to offer prayers to the Lord. I think he's trying to repeatedly join. He's not able to join. Bhagavat Shakti Veti Tadichaya Ananya Apekshatva Jyotanarthamidam Gyayam. Because the Supreme Lord is not dependent on anything. That the Supreme Lord is not dependent on anything is now pointed out here. I'll go back to this. The Lord is equal to every living entity, just like the flowing Ganges. The Ganges water is meant for the purification of everyone, yet the trees on the banks of the Ganges have different values. A mango tree on the bank of the Ganges drinks the water, and the nimba tree also drinks the same water. But the fruits of these trees are different. One is celestially sweet, and the other is hellishly bitter. The condemned bitterness of the nimba is due to its own past work, just as the sweetness of the mango is also due to its own karma. The Lord says in the Bhagavad Gita 16.19, Tanaham dushatah kruran samsareshu naradhaman shipami ajasram ashudhan asurishveva yonishu. Those who are envious and mischievous, who are the lowest among men, I perpetually cast into the ocean of material existence into various demoniac species of life. Demigods like Yamaraj and other controllers are there for the unwanted conditioned souls who always engage in threatening the tranquility of the kingdom of God. Since all the demigods are confidential devotee servitors of the Lord, they are never to be condemned. Devotee service should be like this. Okay. 39. Deva Uchuku. Nanamate Deva Vindam Prapannatapopashamatapatram. Yenmulaketa Yatayonjasoru Samsara Dukham Bahirutkshipanti. The demigod said, O Lord, your lotus feet are like an umbrella for the surrendered souls, protecting them from all the miseries of material existence. All the sages under that shelter throw off all material miseries. We therefore offer our respectful obeisances unto your lotus feet. Madhvacharya gives us information that Chaturmukha Brahma, he is the one who is the overall controller of within each Brahma, controller of the time factor as well as all the jivas in that universe put together. Mithaha svardhishnavaha devan amilantaha parasparam. What is this? Amilantaha parasparam vishwakarmani anishana nirvinna harimlidide. So these devas, they were unable to work together in carrying out the various tasks pertaining to the universe, and therefore they worshipped Lord Hari. Prapannanam tapa upashame atapatram chatram hetuhu yasya padarvindasya moolam talam ketaha ashrayah yesham te. Your lotus feet are like an umbrella because the souls of those lotus feet, they protect everyone from the miseries of material existence. Everyone meaning all the surrendered souls. Samsara dukham bahir durata uchpanti parityajanti. All the sages under that shelter throw off all material miseries from far. Pantha swagraham prapya marga shramanmeva. That will come a little later. That will come later. Tayopi yasya padarvindasya moolam talam keta ashrayan yesham. Sabhuta eva santam mahadapi samsara dukkam anjasa anayasena eva bahirutkshipanti. Very easily, Sanatana Goswami says, very easily the sages under the shelter of the Lord's lotus feet throw off all material miseries. Yadva, another meaning. The ones who have taken shelter of the Supreme Personality of God, His lotus feet, are not the sannyasis here. They are supreme devotees. Sarva parityagena tacharanaaravinda ashrayana kevalam grihadi parityaga nishtharthameva sannyasa graha veshamatrena yati sadrishyam tesha. Because they have abandoned everything by taking shelter of the Lord's lotus feet, just as people accept simply to become fixed in uh, renunciation and detachment from house and so on, the exalted devotees, their very appearance is similar to that of the yatis, sannyasis. ये तु आत्मानमेव श्री भगवन्तं श्री नारायणं मन्वाना आत्मं व्यतिरिक्तं दृष्टं श्रुतं सर्वमेव मन्माया कल्पितं मयि एव अध्यस्तम् इत्यादि मायावाद अनुसारेण अद्वैत बोधमात्र परास्त एव अद्वैत पर वेदांत सिद्धांत मते यतैः विधीयन्ते तैव हि सच्छब्द वाच्येभ्य वक्तेभ्य भिन्ना अक्षीण पापा विषयरागवास्त अंतःकरण अज्ञापि पंडित मानिन दैत्य प्रकृतयः. My God, he says by the reference to this sannyasi, the yatis are those who are absorbed in the interpretations of Vedanta in the form of Advaita. Uh, Even though they are distinct from bhaktas who are referred to as saintly persons, these ones are considered to be daitya prakritis, who consider themselves to be very scholarly. Daitya prakriti means they have demoniac natures. Tan pratyeva imani vachanani shruyante. Regarding them, we hear statements such as 10.2.32, 10.87.39. Even he quotes Yoga Vasishtha. अज्ञस्य अर्थ प्रबुद्धस्य सर्वं ब्रह्मेति यो वदेत् महानर्क जालेषु तेनैव विनियोजितः. That ignorant person who is half intelligent and who says everything is Brahman, he is placed in the networks of great hells. विषय स्नेह संयुक्तो ब्रह्माहमिति यो वदेत् कल्पकोटि सहस्राणि नरके स तु पच्यते ब्रह्ममैवर्त. A person who is uh, filled with affection for sense objects and he says, I am Brahman, such a person is uh, cooked in hell for thousands of crores of kalpas. Purana Antarecha, another Purana, Samsara Sukha Samyuktam Brahmaham iti vadinam karma brahma paribhrashtam tam tyajet antyajam yatha. That person who is absorbed in the happiness of material existence and who says, I am Brahman, he is devoid of both piety and Brahman. One should abandon him the way one abandons an antyaja. Chakravarti Atapatram Chatram Yasya Padaram Yasya Moolam Talam Keta Ashraya Yesham Tatha Bhuta Eva Yatayaha Na Anya Jasa Shigrameva Uru Sam Moolameva Samsara Dukam Swagatra Lagnam Jalaukasam Eva Balena Nishkasya Bahir Durata Eva Uchikritya Kshibanti. So these sages who are under the shelter of the souls of the Lord's lotus feet, they throw off all material miseries. Yatha punasva samipam na ayati, in such a manner that these miseries don't come back. And also, they do it very easily. Atra anjasa iti, uru iti, bahir iti, ukshipanti iti padaihi, tadanashritayate, vilambena eva, napi samulam. And these miseries are removed fully. Now he points out there are a number of important adjectives used here. He says, Anjasa, that is Anjasa. Anjasa. Anjasa is used. Uru is used. Bahir is used. Utkshipanti is used. This word is also used. So through all these words, it's pointed out. Tadanashritayateyaha. Tadanashritayateyaha. Sannyasis who have not taken full shelter of the soles of the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, vilambena eva, they attain their goal with only delay. Na api samulam. And that also, all of the miseries from their root are not removed. Tata kshipanti. Yatha tanpuna samsara grasati iti labhyate. They are, the miseries that are thrown out will come back to them. Samsara will swallow them up again. This is the logical conclusion. यद्यपि तदानीं यतयः न वर्तन्ते स्म तदपि सर्वशास्त्रसिद्धान्तविज्ञतया एव तत्त्ववेदाः त्रिकालज्ञाः तत्त्वविदः त्रिकालज्ञाः तथा प्राहुः इति ज्ञेयम्. Even though at that time sannyasis were not there, sannyasis were not manifest because the universe is not yet manifest. Still, because they are well experienced in the conclusions of all the scriptures, and they know the truth. They are also trichologians. Therefore, they spoke in this manner. Prabhupada's purport. There are many sages and saints who engage in trying to conquer rebirth and all other material miseries. But all of them, those who take shelter under the lotus feet of the Lord can completely throw off all such miseries without difficulty. Others who are engaged in transcendental activities in different ways cannot do so. For them, it is very difficult. They may artificially think of becoming liberated without accepting the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, but that is not possible. One is sure to fall again to material existence from such false liberation, even though one may have undergone severe penances and austerities. This is the opinion of the demigods, who are not only well versed in Vedic knowledge, but are also seers of the past, present, and future. The opinions of the demigods are valuable because the demigods are authorized to hold positions in the affairs of universal management. They are appointed by the Lord as his confidential servants. 40. धातर्यदस्मिन् भव ईश जीवास्तापत्रयेणाभिहता न शर्म आत्मन् लभन्ते भगवंस्तवाङ्घ्रिच्छायां सविद्याम् अत आश्रयेम. O Father, O Lord, O Personality of Godhead, the living entities in the material world can never have any happiness because they are overwhelmed by the three kinds of miseries. Therefore, they take shelter of the shade of your lotus feet, which are full of knowledge. And we also thus take shelter of them. Pramam Vinivedayantaha Ahu. They talk about the exhaustion that's experienced in material existence. Vedhataha, Pitaha, O Father, yad yasmad bhave samsare Atmani, Sambodhanam va, Sharma, Sukham. Atman also indicates that they are referring to the Supreme Lord. O Supreme Soul, where is that? Atman. Atman. Sharma, Sukham, Rite, Yad, Iti Pathe. Where is the Rite, Yad? Where is Sharma? I'm not able to understand this variant reading. Somewhere in a variant reading, the Rite appears. Yad Pada Bhajanam Vina Sharman Alabhante. Without engaging in service to the Lord's lotus feet, there is no happiness. Jnanad Ajnanakritaha. Ajnanakritaha tapaha nivartate. Kim maddanghrichhaya ashrayanena tatrahu savidyam. Tada ashrayanameva vidya prapakam ityartha. And if the Supreme Lord were to say that If one engages in austerities, then distresses go away. Why should one take shelter of the shade of my feet? Then, anticipating this, these demigods they say, Savidya, which is full of knowledge. In other words, by taking shelter of the souls of the Lord's lotus feet, one attains Vidya, spiritual realization. Nanu, अज्ञानमूलकं संसारदुःखं ज्ञानेन एव उपशाम्येत् इति ज्ञानिनां किं भक्त्या इति तत्राहु वृते इति. Oh, वृते. He has another reading, वृते. वृते यदस्मिन् भवैष जीवास् instead of धातर यदस्मिन्. Okay, okay. That explains. So the objection that has been anticipated for this verse is the distress of material existence is rooted in ajnana, ignorance. Through knowledge that can be tranquilized. So why should the jnanis, those who are pursuing this kind of knowledge, why should they engage in Bhagavad Bhakti? Therefore, this is stated here. So Vidyam. Vidya Saha Vartamanam. The Lord's lotus feet exists with Vidya, with knowledge. Tava Anghri Chayayameva Vidya Vartate Natra iti. Actually, this is not even the feet. This is the shadow of the Lord's lotus feet. So the point that is brought out here is Vidya, spiritual knowledge, is found at the shadow of your lotus feet, not anywhere else. Bhaktiya vina jnanameva na siddhyati iti te mitya jnanina iti bhava. Without bhakti, one's knowledge never attains perfection. So the implication is all these people who don't take shelter of your lotus feet, their knowledge is just false. I thought there was a question somewhere. Where? Okay, that box. Right. The devotee of the Lord is never controlled by such deputed demigods. When devotees are not controlled by demigods, and how they will understand and why. When one becomes a pure devotee of Krishna, then he will not be subject to the unnecessary control of the demigods, which are actually meant for conditioned souls. It's not meant for those who are engaged in pure devotion service. So that Krishna will make them understand that. Why? Because they should not. Krishna wants to make it very fast for them to progress, so they will not be disturbed. We see that devotees still struggle with material miseries after taking shelter of the Lord. Yes. When we come to the point of pure devotion service, then we experience these features of devotional service. Kleshagni, Shubhada. Are the demigods also Trikalagya like sages? These demigods. Here we are talking of the Tattvika Devas. These are the elements. These are Trikalagyas. These are very exalted devotees of Lord Vishnu. What does taking shelter of the Lord's lotus feet means? It means to surrender unto Him. That's what it means. Okay. The way of devotional service is neither sentimental nor mundane. It is a path of reality by which the living entity can attain the transcendental happiness of being freed from the three kinds of material miseries. Miseries arising from the body and mind, from other living entities, and from natural disturbances. Everyone who is conditioned by material existence, whether he be a man or beast or demigod or bird, must suffer from adhyatmika pains, those caused by one's body or mind, adhibhautika pains, those caused by other living creatures, and adhidaivika pains, those due to supernatural disturbances. One's happiness is nothing but a hard struggle to get free from the miseries of conditional life. But that's only one way he can be rescued, and that is by accepting the shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The argument that unless one has proper knowledge, one cannot be freed from material miseries is undoubtedly true. But because the lotus feet of the Lord are full of transcendental knowledge, acceptance of his lotus feet completes that necessity. Chutanam Prabhu has a question. Yeah. I cannot hear anyone. Why? Haribol. Okay, just give me 1 minute, 1 minute. This thing got disconnected and just now it got reconnected through something else. And in my computer, it is still not connecting. Why? 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 Unknown error occurred. That's what Zoom is complaining. Zoom is saying, let me try again. Okay. Haribol. Hear me now. Am I audible?
Yes, bro, you are audible.
Okay. What was that question?
So the question was regarding who are the Tattvic demigods and what are their role is are they controlling the material elements?
Yeah, they are the ones who control all this Mahatattva creation. See, here the universe is not yet manifested, no? Just look at all the Bhagavatam verses that came up to now. The Mahatattva, false ego, all of these. So they are the ones.
So first they were born basically. They were there. Those demigods, Tattvic demigods.
Sorry,
The so the Tattvic demigods, they were there when the elements were not there.
they are the presiding deities of the elements, but the elements haven't yet been mixed in to create the universe for the conditioned souls.
Okay. From Brahmaji, these demigods came.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, we'll resume. We have already discussed this point in the first canto, 1.2.7. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janayatyashu Vairagyam Jnanam Cha Yadda Haitukam. There's no want of knowledge in the devotional service of Vasudeva, the personality of Godhead. He, the Lord, personally takes charge of dissipating the darkness of ignorance from the heart of a devotee. Confirms this in the Bhagavad Gita 10.10. Tesham satati yuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yenamam upayanti te. Empiric philosophical speculation cannot give one relief from the threefold miseries of material existence. Simply to endeavor for knowledge without devoting oneself to the Lord is a waste of valuable time. Okay, then 41. मार्गन्ति यत्ते मुखपद्मनीडैश्छन्दः सुपर्णैर्ऋषयो विविक्ते यस्याघमर्षोदसहृद्वरायाः पदं पदं तीर्थपदः प्रपन्नाः. The lotus feet of the Lord are by themselves the shelter of all places of pilgrimage. The great clear-minded sages, carried by the wings of the Vedas, always search after the nest of your lotus-like face. Some of them surrender to your lotus feet at every step, but taking shelter of the best of rivers, the Ganges, which can deliver one from all sinful reactions. Agyatasya Ashrayana Ayoga Tad Jnana Sadhanamahu. Because it is not possible to take shelter of something which is not known, the means for getting to know about the Lord's lotus feet is now being brought out. Marganti, Nveshayanti, Yat Tat Tirthapadaha, Tava Padam Vayam Prapannaha. We are taking shelter, we are surrendering ourselves unto your lotus feet, which are being searched after. Kaihi Marganti. How do they search? Chandas Suparnai, Veda Pakshibhi, by the birds of the Vedas. Tavaiva Mukhabadbam Needam Yesham. And the nest for these birds are your lotus face. Yatha Pakshaha Needad Udgataha Tataha Tataha Paribhramya Punas Tatraiva Vishanti. Tatha Veda api Tvattaha Udgataha Tvayeva Paryavasyanti. Just as birds, they they fly off from nests, and then they go here and there, they wander here and there, and then they come back to that nest. They enter back into the nest. Similarly, the Vedas also, they rise from you, and then they end, culminate in you. Ataha, Veda anashritya, tvat padam, no, Vedan ashritya. Padam Mrgayanta iti. So they search for your lotus feet by taking shelter of the Vedas. Vivikte, asangye manasi. And they do so with a clean mind. Great clear-minded sages. Incha aghamarsham, aghanashakam mudam. Aghanashakam udam. Udakam yasam saritam tasu varaya gangaya padam udgamasthanam. Here Ganga is being described as the best of the waters that destroy um, sinful reactions. अतः गंगाम अनुसेवमाना अपि तद उद्गमस्थानम त्वत्पदम प्राप्नुवन्ति इति अर्थः. So by continuously serving Ganga also, they can attain your lotus feet, which is the source of Ganga. मार्गन्तीति यस्य यत्पदं मार्गन्ते तस्य ते तत्पदं वयं प्रपन्ना इति योज्यम्. नीडमार्गिणः अपि पदस्थानीयं वृक्षमूलमेव प्रपद्यन्ते. अज्ञानमूलकं संसारदुःखं ज्ञानेनैव उपशाम्येदिति ज्ञानं. No, something is wrong. This is not the right commentary for this. It must be somewhere else. Wait, let me trace it out. किञ्च त्वया कृपया त्वच्चरणकमल साक्षात् प्राप्त्यर्थं सुखसोपानद्वयं यन्निर्मितं तदाश्रित्य ये त्वच्चरणौ दिदृक्षन्ते ते एव बुद्धिमन्तः ते एव वास्तवज्ञानिनः इत्याहुः. Moreover, out of your mercy, in order to help factually attain your lotus feet, you have provided two sopanas. Sopana means ladders or staircases, two comfortable staircases. You have constructed these two comfortable staircases. By taking shelter of them, those who wish to see your lotus feet, they are the ones who are intelligent. They are the ones who are factual jnanis, factual possessors of knowledge. Marganti yat taddeva tirtha padaha tava padam vayam prapannaha. Khair marganti chanta suparnai veda pakshibhi idrishahi tavayo mukhpadum needam yesham taihi yatha निरास्पदे देशे विश्रामार्थं वृक्षतलान्वेषिणः जनाः इतस्ततः चरतां पक्षिणाम् अनुपदं धावन्तः सायं स्वनीडं प्रविशतां तेषाम् आस्पदीभूतस्य वृक्षस्य तलं प्राप्नुवन्ति. Just as people who are searching for shade for resting, when they want a place to take rest, they are searching for the root of a tree. So they look at the birds that are flying here and there, because in the evenings the birds, they go back to their nests. So the trees, they are the ones which are the resorts for such nests. So by seeing them, these people also attain the shelter of the trees. Tatha tvanmukhad udgatanam punaha tvayeva pariyavasitaanam vedanam tatparyam avadharya tenaiva tvam bhajantaha tvam prapnuvanti iti ekam sopanam uktva dvitiyam sopanam ahu. So one staircase is the Vedas, because by taking shelter of the Vedas, which means by understanding the purport of the Vedas, they engage in devotion service to you and they attain you. Then they speak about a second staircase. Agham arsham aghanashakam udakam yasam saritam tasu raya gangaya padam udgamasthanam atah gangam anusevamanaha api tat udgamasthanam tvat padam prapnuvanti ityarthah. So the other way is those who take shelter of Ganga, they attain your lotus feet, which is the source of that Ganga. There's something here. What is this? So until one becomes a pure devotee, there's no chance of escaping the three miseries. Yes, unless one engages in Uttama Bhakti, ultimately speaking, one cannot fully escape the threefold miseries. But in one place in Gita, it is said by performing little devotion, one can be protected. What is that? That is because he is moving ahead. As he moves ahead, he will be protected. He will not fall as long as he is sincerely progressing in Krishna consciousness. But if he wants to experience that happiness of freedom from the threefold miseries fully and absolutely, he has to come. Actually, that little advancement on this path means little advancement on the path of pure devotional service only. It is not talking of the path of impure devotional service to pure devotional service. It is pure devotional service itself. The Paramahamsas are compared to royal swans who make their nests on the petals of the lotus flower. The Lord's transcendental bodily parts are always compared to the lotus flower because in the material world, the lotus flower is the last word in beauty. The most beautiful thing in the world is the Vedas or the Bhagavad Gita because therein knowledge is imparted by the personality of Godhead Himself. The Paramahamsa makes his nest in the lotus-like face of the Lord and always seeks shelter at his lotus feet, which are reached by the wings of Vedic wisdom. Since the Lord is the original source of all emanations, intelligent persons enlightened by Vedic knowledge seek the shelter of the Lord, just as birds who leave the nest search out the nest again to take complete rest, as Vedic knowledge is meant for understanding of the Supreme, is meant for understanding the Supreme Lord. All Vedic knowledge is meant for understanding the Supreme Lord, as stated by the Lord in the Bhagavad Gita 15.15. Vedesha sarvai rahameva vedya. Intelligent persons who are like swans take shelter of the Lord by all means and do not hover on the mental plane by fruitlessly speculating on different philosophies. The Lord is so kind that He has spread the river Ganges throughout the universe so that by taking part in that holy river, everyone can get released from the reactions of sins which occur at every step. There are many rivers in the world which are able to evoke one's sense of God consciousness simply by one's bathing in them. And the river Ganges is chief amongst them. In India, there are 5 sacred rivers: the Ganges, Yamuna, Godavari, Narmada, and Kaveri. But the Ganges is the most sacred. The river Ganges and the Bhagavad Gita are chief sources of transcendental happiness for mankind, and intelligent persons must take shelter of them to go back home, back to Godhead. Even Sripad Shankaracharya recommends that a little knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita and the drinking of a little quantity of Ganges water can save one from the punishment of Yamaraj. Bhagavad Gita Kinchidadhita Ganga Jalalava. Forget, that's a verse. It's all in Bhaja Govindam. 42. यच्छ्रद्धया श्रुतवत्या च भक्त्या समृज्यमाने हृदयेवधाय ज्ञानेन वैराग्य बलेन धीरा व्रजेम तत्तेङ्घ्रि सरोज पीठम. Simply by hearing about your lotus feet with eagerness and devotion and by meditating upon them within the heart, one at once becomes enlightened with knowledge, and on the strength of detachment one becomes pacified. You must therefore take shelter of the sanctuary of your lotus feet. Anu Vishayakೃಷ್ಟ chittanam kutastaddanveshanam. But how can those whose minds are attracted to sense objects search after your lotus feet? Trahu yad hridaye avadhaya dhyatva vairagyam balam yasya tena jnanena dhira bhavanti. By meditating upon your lotus feet in the heart, then by the strength of vairagya, renunciation and detachment, through the knowledge born from that vairagya, they become dhiras, they become sober persons. Sarage chitte dhyanam eva kutaha. But how is it possible to execute meditation when the consciousness is filled with attraction for the sense objects? Atrahu shraddhaya shravanapurvikaya bhaktya cha samrijyamane samshuddhyamane. When the heart is purified through engagement in bhakti, um, that is preceded by faithful hearing. Shraddhaya, Shravana Adarena, by respectfully hearing. Moreover, Tebhya api Kevala Bhakti Matra Ashrayana Shrestha Ityahu. Amongst those who take shelter of your lotus feet, those who have taken shelter of exclusive devotion service. That means give up everything and simply engage in devotion service to Krishna. They are the best. Ityahu. With this in mind, they speak this verse. Yat tava padam shrutam guru mukha upadishtam bhajana vartma vartate yasyam taya bhaktya swahrideva avadhaya anubhuya labdhena jnanena tan madhurya aswada rupena. So after hearing about your lotus feet, from the instructions that have emanated from the mouth of the spiritual master. Now this refers to learning from the spiritual master about the pathway of devotion service to the Lord, in which pathway one experiences in one's heart through such devotional service that lotus feet. In other words, through the realized knowledge of the lotus feet of the Lord in one's heart, which refers to relishing the sweetness of the lotus feet of the Lord in the heart. Idrishena vairagyasya sarvatra vaitrishnasya balam yasmat, from which one attains the strength of a lack of thirst for everything. So this kind of strength of renunciation and detachment comes from such experience. Tena dhira bhavanti. By that they become dhiras, sober persons. Anke chen madhu vindeta kimartham parvatam rajet. If honey falls at your lap, oh, why do you need to go to a mountain to search for honey? Iti nyayena, with that logic, purvameva vedati anveshana shramavantah na bhavanti. They do not take up the labor of searching through the Vedas and so on. The miracles of meditating on the lotus feet of the Lord with eagerness and devotion are so great that no other process can compare to it. The minds of materialistic persons are so disturbed that it is almost impossible for them to search after the supreme truth by personal regulative endeavors. But even such materialistic men, with a little eagerness for hearing about the Lord's transcendental name, fame, qualities, etc., can surpass all other methods of attaining knowledge and detachment. The conditioned soul is attached to the bodily conception of the self, and therefore he is in ignorance. The culture of self-knowledge can bring about detachment from material affection, and without such detachment, there is no meaning to knowledge. The most stubborn attachment for material enjoyment is sex life. One who is attached to sex life is to be understood as devoid of knowledge. Knowledge must be followed by detachment. That is the way of self-realization. These two essentials for self-realization, knowledge and detachment, become manifest very quickly if one performs devotional service to the lotus feet of the Lord. The word dhira is very significant in this connection. A person who is not disturbed even in the presence of causes of disturbance is called dhira. See, Yamanacharya says, since my heart has been overwhelmed by the devotional service of Lord Krishna, I cannot even think of sex life. And if thoughts of sex come upon me, I at once feel disgust. A devotee of the Lord becomes an elevated dhira by the simple process of meditating in eagerness on the lotus feet of the Lord. Devotional service entails being initiated by a bona fide spiritual master and following his instruction in regard to hearing about the Lord. Such a bona fide spiritual master is accepted by regularly hearing from him about the Lord. The improvement in knowledge and detachment can be perceived by devotees as an actual experience. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu strongly recommended this process of hearing from a bona fide devotee. And by following this process, one can achieve the highest result, conquering all other methods. 43. विश्वस्य जन्म स्थिति संयमार्थे कृतावतारस्य पदाम्बुजं ते व्रजेम सर्वे शरणं यदीश स्मृतं प्रयच्छत्यभयं स्वपुंसाम्. O Lord, you assume incarnations for the creation, maintenance, and dissolution of the cosmic manifestation, and therefore we all take shelter of your lotus feet because they always award remembrance and courage to your devotees. Bhaktanugraham smarantaha ahu vishwasya. In this verse, they remember the Lord's kindness upon his devotees. Kha pum samadhina amanyesham smritam abhayam prayachit. What is this kha pum sa? Kha pum sa. Wait, I'm just typing up this. Wait, I don't know. So what is this? Is it 3.5.23? From 5.20. Pumsam sarvesham. Where am I? 43. Swataha to anyesham nikitamapi suduram. No. Swapumsam. Swapumsam adhinam anyesham smritam abhayam prayachet. Swapumsam adhinam anyesham smritam. Anyesham smritam abhayam. Swapumsam is swapumsam. Adrishyamute sugamatvartham tasya bhaktanugraham smarate aho. That kind of bhakti is easy. That kind of bhakti is easy. In order to point this out, they reveal in this verse the kindness the Lord has upon his devotees. They remember that and they state that here. For the creation, maintenance, and dissolution of the cosmic manifestation, there are three incarnations. Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara, Lord Shiva. They are the controllers or masters of the three modes of material nature which cause the phenomenal manifestation. Vishnu is a master of the mode of goodness. Brahma is a master of the mode of passion. And Maheshwara is a master of the mode of ignorance. There are different kinds of devotees according to the modes of nature. Persons in the mode of goodness worship Lord Vishnu. Those in the mode of passion worship Lord Brahma. And those in the modes of ignorance worship Lord Shiva. All three of these deities are incarnations of the Supreme Lord Krishna because he is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. Here the demigods directly refer to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord and not to those of his different incarnations. The incarnation of Vishnu in the material world is, however, directly worshipped by the demigods. It is learned from the various scriptures that the demigods approach Lord Vishnu in the ocean of milk and submit their grievances. What happened? Whenever there is some difficulty in the administration of universal affairs. Although Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva are incarnations of the Lord, they worship Lord Vishnu, and thus they are also counted amongst the demigods, and not as a supreme personality of Godhead. Persons who worship Lord Vishnu are called demigods, and persons who do not do so are called asuras or demons. Vishnu always takes the side of the demigods, but Brahma and Shiva sometimes take the side of the demons. It is not that they become one in interest with them, but sometimes they do something in order to gain control over the demon. Where is all this coming from? यत्सानुबन्धे सति देहगेहे ममाहमित्यूढदुराग्रहाणां पुंसां सुदूरं वसतोऽपि पुर्यां भजेम तत्ते भगवन् पदाब्जम्. O Lord, persons who are entangled by the undesirable eagerness for the temporary body and kinsman, and who are bound by thoughts of mine and I, are unable to see your lotus feet, although your lotus feet are situated within their own bodies. But let us take shelter of your lotus feet. Whoever drinks Ganges water, are they not going to be punished by Yamaraj, although they are performing against sinful activities? No, they'll be punished. But those who drink the water of Ganges with faith, they become purified gradually. By meditating upon them within the heart, one at once becomes enlightened with knowledge. Yeah, by meditating upon the lotus feet of the Lord, if one does it with the purity, then he becomes enlightened. There's no surprise in that. One Krishna reveals Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam Yena Mam Upayanti Te. Okay. Antaryami Taya Nityam Sanhite Anarthakam Rajanam Iti Ashankyahu Yaditi. Since the Supreme Lord is eternally present inside us as the inner controller, Antaryami, the super soul, to go out and search for the Lord's lotus feet is meaningless. This is an objection. Anticipating this objection, the current verse is spoken. Sanubandhe, so upakarane, asati, tuche, the temporary body and kinsman and so on are considered, along with all the paraphernalia, are considered to be most insignificant. Priyam swadeheva vasataha api yat suduram dushprapam. Even though the Lord's lotus feet are found inside one's own body, still, as long as one has conceptions of I and mine, these lotus feet are very far away. That means they are very difficult to achieve. Swatastu anyesham nigatamapi suduram ityahu yaditi. It is natural for the Lord's lotus feet, which, even though it is quite near to those not engaged in pure devotional service to Him, they experience it as if it is very far away. Tadapi durji vaihi bhakti durlabhya. For evil conditioned souls, bhakti cannot be attained. Puryam, Mathura, Dwaraka, Adav, Prakata, Prakata Prakashabhyam, Sada Vasatha Api, Dehe Antaryami Rupena Va. The Lord's lotus feet are found within one's own body, or another meaning is found in the cities of Mathura, Dwaraka, etc. at all points in time. Because it's only either manifest or unmanifest, but it's actually present in all forms at all points in time. Still, one cannot, in such sinful conditioned souls, they cannot we cannot find his lotus feet. The whole Vedic philosophy of life is that one should get rid of the material engagement of gross and subtle bodies, which only cause one to continue in a condemned life of miseries. This material body continues as long as one is not detached from the false conception of lording it over material nature. The impetus for lording it over material nature is a sense of mine and I. I am the Lord of all that I survey. So many things I possess, and I shall possess more and more. Who can be richer than I in wealth and education? I'm the master, and I'm God. Who else is there but me? This is all paraphrase from Bhagavad Gita, 16th chapter. All these ideas reflect the philosophy of Aham Mama, the conception that I am everything. Persons conducted by such a conception of life can never get liberation from material bondage. But even a person perpetually condemned to the miseries of material existence can get relief from bondage if he simply agrees to hear only Krishna Katha. In this age of Kali, the process of hearing Krishna Katha is uh, the most effective means of gaining release from unwanted family affection. Unwanted family affection, and thus finding permanent freedom in life. The age of Kali is full of sinful reactions, and people are more and more addicted to the qualities of this age. But simply by hearing and chanting of Krishna Katha, one is sure to go back to Godhead. Therefore, people should be trained to hear only Krishna Katha by all means in order to get relief from all miseries. Any examples? What is any example of what? What is
So he said
Vasud?
that by meditating on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, lotus feet, one attains knowledge. So any examples from the scriptures we find that devotees?
Yeah, there are those Kapila, he became sorry, Kapila's father, what's his name? Kardama Muni, he meditated on the Lord's lotus feet. There are others also. As we come across in Bhagavatam, we'll come across many instances. What is Vasudhaiva? It is not Vasudeva. It is not how it is spelled. Okay, I'll type it. It'll be like this. This is how you type it. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Vasudha eva Kutumbakam. The entire earth is my family. That is the idea. We say we should not be attached even to devotees. Where we say we should not be attached to devotees. Who's saying things like that? Should be attached to those who are more advanced in Krishna consciousness in such a manner that we progress in Krishna consciousness. Okay, 45. I'll only read the verse. It's about 9 o'clock. तान्वै ह्यसद्वृत्तिभिरक्षिभिर्ये पराहृतान्तर्मनसः परेश अथो न पश्यन्ति वृगाय नूनं ये ते पदन्यासविलासलक्ष्याः. Very nice verses. O great Supreme Lord, offensive persons whose inner vision has been too affected by external materialistic activities cannot see your lotus feet, but those feet are seen by your pure devotees, whose one and only aim is to transcendently enjoy your activities. Okay, wait, let me just quickly check this out. This verse is in response to um, a particular concept that was brought up in the while discussing the previous verse. If for some of them, the Lord's lotus feet, which is situated in their own hearts, is very far away, then that's how it should be meant. It should be for everyone. Because what difference will it make? Anticipating that this verse is now being spoken. We'll stop in that. We'll continue in the next session. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्यो च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः।